If you are a musician or a music teacher, then today's video is one you need to watch. Today, I'm going to talk about ear care and how to protect your ears when you're in an environment where music is being made. Today, I'm going to share some tips and resources on how to protect your precious hearing while you're in a loud setting all day. Are you ready? Let's go. Brenda Earl-Stokes. I'm the owner and creator of Piano and Voice with Brenda. I make creative and practical resources for singers, pianists, and music educators. It goes without saying that our ears are our careers, so it is crucial that we take care of these precious body parts. Once you damage your hearing, it doesn't come back. So it is really, really important to be mindful of what we are exposing them to. A few years ago, I was having a lot of ear troubles. I was teaching loud music theater singers in a small studio with like a loud piano. I was started having some ringing in my ear, which is extremely troubling and scary for me. My room, even though my studio is tiny, I'm in a little tiny New York studio, the room was quite resonant, and so it meant that my ears were being exposed to a lot of sound bouncing around all the flat surfaces in my space, and it made me very, very worried. So here's some of the things that I did. The first thing that I did is I had my studio sound treated. So I asked around locally here in New York to some sound engineer friends about like what do you do to make the room sound better? And it was suggested very wisely that I have my studio acoustically treated. I had professional sound treatment panels made by a company in Connecticut. They're called Real Traps. You can go to realtraps.com to see what I mean, to order from them. They're fabulous. I sent the company a photograph of my studio, and they recommended how many panels I needed and drew me a diagram of where I should put them in my studio to maximize the effect. I then took, once they were in place, I then took a piece of very thick rubbery fabric and duct taped it to the back of my piano. So as you can see, I have an upright piano, and we duct taped that thick rubbery fabric. I think it was like a carpet pad. My husband got it for me, and duct taped it to the back of the piano. Okay. So this material absorbs some of the excess bounce in the room so that I am able to still hear a full piano sound without a lot of echo and a lot of reverb. All right, it made a huge difference. So my piano still sounds beautiful and vibrant and resonant. It's just I'm not hearing so many highs and so much bounce in the room. The next thing I did is I covered my hardwood floors, because I have beautiful hardwood floors in here. I covered them with rugs and padding. So I put padding first and put the rugs on top that cover, I would say, probably 95% of the floor. And then in the window, I got two long curtain panels that go all the way almost from the exact top of the ceiling to the floor. The results are that I now have a much deader or drier sound in my space, which allows me to hear very clearly without a lot of excess reverb. The space isn't sound treated like a recording studio would be, where it's completely dead and dry, but it is deadened enough that it still feels, reverberant. I mean, you're hearing me speak in this room right now. It still sounds nice and live, but it's just not as overwhelming as it was before. One interesting observation that I made almost immediately after I did this sound treatment was that I stopped feeling so exhausted at the end of a day of teaching, and I started getting a lot less headache. So I didn't even realize how fatiguing all of the sound was for me, and I kind of forgot that I was getting headaches until I stopped getting them, and I went, oh wow, I'm not getting headaches anymore. So earplugs are another thing that I have to say. So if you're unable to sound treat your space the way you want, so if you're working, if you don't own your own studio or it's not your own space, or if you are working with extremely loud singers, so like Broadway belters, those Wagnerian tenors, like rock singers, then you need to use earplugs. You have to have earplugs. Every musician should have a pair of custom earplugs made by a qualified audiologist. It should be covered by your insurance, or it's something that you can write off as a tax expense. So it's worthwhile doing it. The pair that I have are specifically designed to reduce the volume of all of the frequencies of sound. So it doesn't just take the highs off or just deaden the lows. It takes kind of a sample of all of them. So you're still hearing accurately. You're not hearing like it too muffly, or just like kind of tinny. Those cheap foam ones will just muffle the sound, but my custom ones give me a pretty accurate sound of what I'm hearing. It's just a lot quieter. Another great way to save your ears is to change the direction of the singer who is singing in the room with you. And this would also go for wind instruments. So think about if the singer is here and they're singing towards you, they're singing directly into your ear. So it's a similar thing if you were just to sit and put your ear all the way up to an amp, like a guitar amp. That would be insane. So another easy way that you can prevent yourself from doing like damage to yourself is, especially you're working with a singer who's doing some louder singing, have them face away from you. So instead of facing so the sound is going here, have them face so the sound is going this way, okay? One other rule that I have that goes along with this, you may not even think of this, is that if my student forgets their music, which they all do at some point, they are never allowed to look over my shoulder at my music. All right. This literally points their singing directly into my ear, which could do some serious damage. Instead, I will have them look up the lyrics on their phone, or I'll take like a screenshot of my copy of the music with like my iPad, and I'll pass it to them so they can stay where they are. So if you are teaching via Zoom, or you listen to music while you practice, you also need to be very mindful of volume. Headphones can do serious damage to your ears if you're not careful. What you want to do is experiment with finding a mid-level volume where you can hear, but it is not so loud that it could hurt your ears. And any parents who are watching this, or grandparents, or aunts or uncles, be very mindful of children who have headphones on. It's the exact same thing, that if you can hear the music that's coming out of the headphones, it is too loud. And it's something that I've had to check on with my own son all the time. And I actually got him a pair of headphones where I can adjust how loud that they go, so that he can't hurt his ears. So in order to be able to have ear protection when you're wearing headphones, the first thing you need to do is have a pair of decent quality headphones. All right. Poor quality headphones will not present the sound properly, which means you might end up cranking up the volume to hear the bass. Now, bass heavy headphones, you know who you are, those, whatever you call them, Dr. Beats, they're so bass heavy that it can make it more difficult to hear like the vocals clearly or the details clearly, which also might lead to have you turn the volume up. So you really want to invest in a good quality pair of headphones. It doesn't matter so much if they're in ear or they're the ones over your ears, as long as you have a decent picture of the sound. And then one final thing that I'll say while wearing headphones while you're teaching or practicing is to get into the habit of having one on and one off. Okay, so that means you can have one earbud in, one earbud out, so you've got one open, or you've got one can on and one can off. This will ensure that you can still hear yourself, so it will prevent you from straining your voice to hear yourself. So just to recap, here are the tips to protect your ears when you're in a musical environment as a musician or as a music teacher. The first thing is to make sure that your studio is sound treated with acoustic panels, with curtains, with some kind of rug or floor covering, some way to deaden the sound a little bit so that it's not too live and damaging to your hearing. Number 2 is to get and use a pair of custom earplugs so that you can prevent damage from loud sounds. Changing the direction that the instrument or the singer is facing so they're not blowing directly or singing directly into your ear is also great. So to adjust that seating or standing so that you're not having that wall of sound go directly into your ear. And finally, investing in a good pair of headphones so that you can hear clearly and you don't need to crank the volume up too loud. All of these tips will help to contribute to the long-term wellness of your hearing. If this video was helpful for you, please like it and leave a comment below. Let me know if there's some new information you learned for this or what are some things that you're going to take away from it. Also, if you have a minute, subscribe to my channel. I post new content every week that is relevant to musicians and music teachers. And finally, if you want to get to know me better, you can go to my website, pianoandvoicewithbrenda.com. I have tons of terrific resources on there. Thank you so much for watching.